Hey there, good evening. Welcome to the Bronx Buzz. This is Bronx Net's program where we talk to reporters, writers, editors, journalists, sports writers, and sportscasters. And I say that for a reason. And then in our second segment, we do arts and culture in the Bronx. And we've got a really cool segment coming up from the people at Cortlandt Park and the Cortlandt Park Alliance. But let's get started with my buddy, longtime buddy, but also somebody I respect because he's a baseball guy and is let's see, official MLB scorer, Sirius XM update anchor, columnist for NewYorkSportsDay.com. And I do put my friend up on top, the great Howie Karpin. Nice to see you, Mr. Karpin.
An absolute pleasure, as always.
Always nice to see you. Listen, we do the beginning of the year, we do the middle of the beginning of the baseball season, the middle of the baseball season. I'll probably catch you before the World Series. So let's just get right to it. You wrote a piece called "The Yankees' Second Half Resurgence." Can it happen? You got a couple of days now after the All-Star break to judge, and I don't mean a pun by that. How are the Yankees doing, and what are the chances?
I don't think they're very good, to be honest with you.
Well, we knew you'd be honest.
Well, this team is not built well. I'm sorry. They lack balance on offense. Their offensive numbers are putrid compared to Yankee teams of the past. I mean, it's incredible. But you could see where it goes wrong. There's a lack of balance there. They haven't had a left-hand impactful bat in 10 years maybe now since Robinson Cano. I mean,
Wow.
Can you name a left-hand bat that scares opposing pitchers in their lineup? I like Anthony Rizzo, but he's the one guy, and right now he's not a primary player at this point in his career. So they lack balance on offense. They make mistakes on the bases. They're playing people out of position in the outfield. They went into the season needing a left fielder. They haven't filled that hole yet. And then they start Anthony Volpe at shortstop as a rook. I agree with the move, and I want to live with it. But you don't back yourself up with a veteran shortstop that could maybe mentor him, and
or a defensive replacement late in the game.
Yeah, but he's been fine on defense. Just, when he was struggling with the bat, maybe you bring this veteran guy in to play a game or two, and then the kid could sit and watch. He's learning from the other veterans. I like Volpe. I think he's a keeper. But it's a risk, putting a rookie in there, and they kind of left themselves short, and their schedule is tough in the second half. I don't buy this percentage garbage that they're playing a schedule with teams of lower percentages. They still have 7 with the Astros. They have a 6-game trip to Miami and Atlanta, and they're going to be battling Toronto 7 times in the final 2 weeks, one of their main competitors for the wild card. So this is why I don't see this happening for them.
Let me add one more side note to that. It is the major leagues, and I realize some teams are better than others, and some teams just are so overwhelming. I mean, the Dodgers look great against the Mets. Certainly the Braves are running away, and the Astros, of course, are very good. But, they're major league teams. I read maybe other than the Oakland A's, and they can beat you at any time, and you don't come with your best. But a footnote to that, and I'm sure there are many people who have asked you this question. Number one, would it be the same with Aaron Judge? And number two, if Judge comes back and he is healthy and he's able to do his thing, does that energize and at least take off the offensive pressure? I mean, Stanton is starting to play well. Is there still hope in that? Or, of course, his injury is a question mark. Nobody seems to know how to get that solved.
Well, their offense would be better. I don't know if that would translate into the win column. They still make the same base running mistakes with him in the lineup or not. Their defense is weak in the outfield when Bader's not out there and him not being out there. And left field is still the hole. And then they continue to, now that Josh Donaldson got hurt, they won't be having this, rotating infield situation, which I think has not worked. I think it's hurt LeMahieu in the long run. A lot of people think he's finished. I don't. And his bat came alive a little bit over the weekend. Right. I think, when it's in your mind that you're going to sit down, every 5th day as a regular player, you get 3 hits and you sit down the next day. It's ridiculous. Stanton last week had a 2-hit game and he sat the next night. I mean,
Well, this goes now to another question which has been in Yankee land, and that is Aaron Boone's stability. I feel like he doesn't have enough emotion. I realize he's been thrown out of a couple of games and all that, but I feel like he doesn't have like that angle, that aggressive angle that a good manager needs to have. And I wonder if certainly whether they make the playoffs or not. I mean, that may not be the waterline anymore. I wonder if his longevity is secure.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, he survived some, turmoil so far.
Yes.
Look, they'll point to his winning record. They won a lot of games with him,
Yeah.
but this is a team, that prides itself on getting to the World Series, and they've been in 10 playoff runs. Their last 10 playoff runs, they made the ALCS 3 times and lost to the same team. So why is it not getting done? Part of that is what I talked about originally, the balance. They run up against they make right-handed pitchers, mediocre pitchers, look like they're, the world beaters.
Okay, last question, and then we'll get to the Mets. Buyers or sellers when it comes to that time, the trade deadline?
I think it's buyers / sellers. I think they'll try and make some moves with the future in mind. I think they have to come to a decision on Gleyber Torres. He'll be a free agent after next year. You're going to pay him. You're going to pay him big money? I don't think so.
Right.
So yeah, the trade deadline will be interesting. They don't have a lot of chips.
Right.
They don't have a lot of chips.
Let's get to the Mets now. The Mets have played just abysmal baseball at times, and then and now really, folks, we're recording this on Monday. It'll air on Thursday. But the game last night, they showed a lot of heart. They got good starting pitching. They got a little clutch hitting at the end, and they won a major league game. On the other hand, on Friday night, they didn't even play him. They didn't even show up to play a major league game. They had no starting pitching, no bullpen, and no hitting. How do you read what's going on at Citi Field?
Well, their pitching is awful. Let's put it that way.
Starting and relief. Well, the relief is terrible.
Relief is terrible, and the starters have been very subpar. Mm-hmm. So that gets into the minds of the offense, no matter how much they deny it. Their offense is, the last few days it's been bad, but there are 2 factors in that lineup that have really dragged them. 3 really dragged them down. Starling Marte has disappeared. Jeff McNeil is hitting 75 points under last year's average. It's shocking to me.
Yes.
And Alonso is not the same. I think that wrist injury is going to haunt him the rest of the year. It's very tough for a hitter to get a wrist injury, come back. He came back real quick. I give him credit for that. He's a gamer. I love the guy. I mean, I got to meet him personally, and we had a chat. So, I wish him only the best. I just don't think this is the year for him. It's funny. I look at this for both local teams. There's been a key injury that has killed their season. Aaron Judge, obviously, for the Yankees. Edwin Diaz for the Mets. Wow, that set off a chain reaction.
Yes.
And not only that, the timing of the injury gave them no chance to make any backup plans. They had to go with what they had. They couldn't make any trades. He gets hurt right before the season. Killer.
You have to credit David Robertson, who has stepped up to be, as good as you could ask him to be. What do you make of Lindor hitting 230 something right now? Yet his power numbers, but he's also made some errors in the field, and wow, he's a half a step slow on that. He might have in another time made that play. What do you make?
I don't think he's a step slow. I think his batting average is a result of bad luck. You don't get 60 RBIs if you're not hitting. Especially this lineup, there really hasn't been a whole lot of table setters. Nimmo at the top, he's a nice leadoff man, but he doesn't give you that stolen base threat. To upset pitchers and maybe help the lineup later on where they would make a mistake. I love Lindor. He plays every day. He's still terrific. If he's driving in so many runs and getting the power numbers, the batting average has to be a result of bad luck. Now, he's hit some balls hard. He's also struck out a lot. If you notice his left-hand swing, when his hand comes off the bat, he's usually missing. When he hits a ball good lefty, both hands are on the bat through the completion of the swing.
I thought during the weekend series against the Dodgers, I think he looked out. He looked at third strikes like 4 times. I
Yeah,
mean,
he had a
eh,
bad weekend.
yeah, they certainly did. As far as Alonso, and I'm not saying you're wrong about the injury, but there's no left-handed power hitter behind him. What is the
Right.
Daniel Vogelback thing? I mean, everybody in the world can see that and nothing against him personally, but
Right.
he's a liability. He can't field. He's a liability on the bases because he can't beat out a ground ball or to break up a double play or anything. And he's hitting 210 with very little power. Why is he still around? Nobody gets that.
I find it astounding. He doesn't belong on a major league roster. I have a feeling his time is coming, and I think we're going to see Mauricio up here and see what they got out of Mark Vientos. To be honest with you, I'm not big on Vientos from what I've seen. I know it's a small sample. I'm not that sold on Vientos like I am obviously on Alvarez. Alvarez is the real deal.
He's the real deal.
Experience.
He comes in like he's like Yogi Berra down there. He plays the game hard. No,
Yeah,
he plays the game. He plays all aspects of it. He wants to play. He hits in the clutch. He's got the power.
He's been good defensively. Remember, scouts told you they were worried about his defense.
Yeah, right.
This is why sometimes you really got to see a player to know what he's all about and not judge him by just the data.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you'll see these guys up here. And look, I think they're already making plans to sell. They know they're sellers. They're not coming back. It's tough.
So sellers straightforward. In other words,
sellers,
no bones about it.
Unless they somehow go on and win the rest of the games in the month before the deadline. That's the only way it would change.
That'd be quite a show. And who would be the chips that could bring them somebody reasonable? I mean, people are talking about Pham, who's played well.
Robertson.
Wow, that would really be the sale.
And the 2 starters if they waive their no trades.
Yeah,
I don't know if Verlander has a no trade. I know Scherzer does.
But they both would arrive at other teams with tremendous experience, but they are not performing like Cy Young winners. They'd be number 3, maybe even number 4 starters on good teams. Who knows?
That's what good teams are looking for. They don't
Yes,
need
of course.
They don't need a number 1. That's why they're good already.
That's why they're good. Listen, Howie Karpin, official score for Major League Baseball, says he's not had an overturned call in 2 years?
In 2 years.
2 years. Congratulations.
I know I'll jinx it now, so.
I know it'll be my fault.
No.
But really, listen, we'll check you out on Sirius XM, and everybody check out NewYorkSportsDay.com and find out all the great stuff Howie's writing. He provides insight on what we care about, the Yankees and the Mets. See you around, my buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back from that break, we'll go to Cortlandt Park. Don't go away.
Dear moms and dads, what you have achieved here today is going to help us and our futures. It is why we are coming up on stage to collect your diplomas.
You know it's true.
Mom, we love you always.
Everything I do.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
Is it time yet?
It's time.
Fun story time for dinner.
Oh, terrific.
Pasta dinner.
Donating pet food is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org.
¿Qué color? Perfecto, mijo.
Gracias. Thank you.
What's wrong, mijo?
Donating to a pet's medical care is one of the many ways you can help families in your community. Pets and people belong together. Learn more at petsandpeopletogether.org. All right, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I'm thrilled because my favorite park
in the world is Van Cortlandt Park. Some people know I am on the board of directors of the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance, but that's only because I love the park and I want it to be beautiful and great and all the time. And somebody else who lives it every day and wants it to be beautiful and great, and she's responsible for making it beautiful and great every day, is my buddy, the executive director of the Van Cortlandt Park Alliance, Stephanie Ehrlich. Nice to see you, Steph.
Always good to see you, Gary.
And one of my longtime friends, Rhynna Santos, a documentary photographer and teaching artist. She's the founder of the Bronx Women's Photo Collective and curator for the Instagram feed Everyday Bronx. Hi, Rhynna Santos. Nice to have you.
Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Stephanie, we're going to start with you. Let's just talk about movies. I was there the other night. I don't know if the body snatchers were actually already invaded, but allegedly that's what the movie says. And so tell us about this really wonderful series that Van Cortlandt Park has put together so that people can see free movies on beautiful summer nights.
I sure will. So I am a movie freak. I love.
Oh, really?
Love.
I did not know that. Now I know.
Yes, I love film and I am obsessed with it. And so wanted to bring movies to the park last year and did that with the amazing assistance of our council member, Eric Dinowitz, and also last year with Optimum. And so we tested it out. We did a really fun series, super successful, had lots of people enjoy it. And because it was so great, we decided, let's do it again. And this year, our lead sponsor is Horace Mann School, our wonderful neighbors across the street. And we've got a bunch of movies. We had our first one last week, as you're saying, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And other ones that are coming up are Galaxy Quest, Star Wars, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then a special first time showing of Story Avenue, which I'll tell you a little bit more about afterwards. And
well, wait a minute. Let's do that right now. So
Okay.
Story Avenue, of course, is a street in the Bronx. This is by a Bronx filmmaker. Is that what we're talking about? So not only will people see it in all its glory, but it's about us by a Bronx filmmaker.
It is, and you'll get to meet Bronx-born filmmaker Aristotle Torres, and it's presented by Rooftop Films, who are our partners in this whole series. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's a story about a young man looking for the right fit in his life and what he's going to do with himself. And I think he decides to be an artist, which I think is something that's a really, really important thing in this world. I know Rhynna would agree.
Listen, and Gary would agree also. And how many young Bronx people think in those terms? But when you started to describe it, I was like, oh, so it's about me. Oh, okay. But I didn't turn out to be. I became an artist in a different way. But let's be able to get to Rhynna. We put an asterisk next to Star Wars. Stephanie, why did we put an asterisk next to Star Wars?
Okay,
which
so
is coming up July
story.
25th.
It's coming up.
Right.
So crazy story is that I programmed this last year as we were setting up last year's movies. I was like, I know what we're doing next summer. We're doing outer space, and I knew we were going to do Star Wars because I love original Star Wars. So we figured that out a year ago, and actually, this is the second time Rhynna has shown her work in Van Cortlandt Park. And she does that with the assistance and support of NYC Parks. Our friends in Arts and Antiquities have a public art program, and so with Photoville, who is also part of the producers of this show, Photoville and Rhynna had a show in Van Cortlandt Park on Broadway, on the fence that is surrounding our basketball court, Broadway and like 240th-ish.
Right next to the skate park. That's right
next to the skate park, the stadium, and the elevated train. And so there was this idea to bring Rhynna back. And when I heard what it was, I was like, okay, that's super weird because we're showing Star Wars.
Yeah, what is this? What does this grassroots Bronx woman who takes incredible photograph have to do with Star Wars? So now we can segue to Rhynna. You saw Star Wars, and the way you described it was on an island far, far away. You saw Star Wars with your father, of the great Ray Santos, of course, in Puerto Rico. That changed your life?
It changed my life completely.
Wow.
It changed my life. I'm one of those fans that once you see the movie, you're completely transported literally to another galaxy. And the first time I saw it was in Spanish, was in English, and I couldn't speak English at the time very well, and I didn't really know what was going on. But I have been a lifelong fan since then. And once I started my photography career, I wanted to merge these two passions, which was documentary photography and my love for Star Wars. And I attend Star Wars conventions called Star Wars Celebrations. And since 2015, I have been photographing of color, plus size, older fans that make up the fandom because, I really, through my work, want to talk about how diverse the Star Wars fandom is, how there's so many different types of people that make up Star Wars fans, and that also, that Star Wars fans are everywhere, and how people are really able to use this fandom, this passion, to express themselves artistically, but more importantly, to, they really use it, as something that they love, but that really helps them through their lifetime. I know.
Before we connect what you're saying to the specific showing of the movie, why did it reach you so well? I mean, you have written that it became your escape, helping you face. It's remarkable to me, face the challenges of life with its lessons about hope and positive change. But why did it reach you like it? It didn't reach. I thought it was a fine film, but it didn't quite reach me like that. But what's your perspective?
I think for some people it means something different. That's the wonderful thing about Star Wars, that it really speaks to so many different people. But I know for me, as a Puerto Rican person growing up on the island, I'd really understood what it was to be oppressed and what it is to be repressed in that kind of way. And
Repressed maybe because you're a little bit different.
Absolutely. And I really gravitated towards wanting to be a rebel and fighting for freedom, fighting for justice, fighting for equality. And that really spoke to me personally. But then also, the very basic tenets of Star Wars, which is, good versus evil, really about also community, and that community can look like a lot of different things. It doesn't have to just be your blood family, but you can create your own family as you are fighting for justice, and that you really have, being able to perform loyalty for other people. So a lot of things about the movie really spoke to me, but definitely as a kid, I really used it as an escape. Moving from Puerto Rico to the United States was very difficult. My parents divorced, things like that. So for me, it was really a tool to be able to survive as a little kid. And then it's turned into a passion as an adult.
This is the stupid question of all time. How many times have you seen the film?
Gary, I can't even begin to count. When
It's like asking me how many times I saw A Hard Day's Night, which was probably in the 30s or 40s.
You have to see it in the movies. I own all the DVDs. I own the streams. All of that.
You are just beautiful. So now, of course, and I'm going to promote so now you could see it on a summer night, and you could see it in beautiful, spacious Cortlandt Park, and get the whole thing. But now the connection is the people who are in those costumes. What is going to happen in our park on that night on let's see, what is it, the 25th? What's going to happen? I'm going to do a drum roll.
So what we want to do, we want to celebrate the movie. I think it's incredible to have this type of public art, having the images.
So people are going to come by dressed up?
People are going to come by. We encourage, it's not mandatory, but we're going to encourage people to come dressed up as their favorite Star Wars character. And we're going to have a little parade from where the exhibition is being held. It's 5 minutes to where the movie is going to be projected. There's going to be music. There's going to be art.
Where is that going to start? So
Oh,
Stephanie,
so the
cue the director. Go ahead.
sure. The meetup is by the show, and so that is also by the skate park and the
Over
basketball
there,
court,
I see.
right? And then there will be this amazing magical parade that will come on over to the parade ground. And at the parade ground, we have music. Star Wars was put out in 1977, so we'll have music from 1977 playing. Which I have to tell you, I've been working on the playlist. So
Oh,
much
there you
fun.
go.
So enjoyable. So we'll have that going, and then we'll have a craft, and we're just kind of figuring out what our craft is going to be. But a little birdie is telling me it might be DIY lightsabers.
Excellent.
But you know, for Stephanie, this tickles your fancy because you're a movie person, and then you connected with Rhynna, who's wacky about this, if you'll pardon me saying that.
Not at all.
And now, so she's got an idea, and then you, for Stephanie, this is of the many hundreds of things you do every day. This is real joy that people will come out. They'll come out dressed up. They'll march. They'll parade into the parade grounds, and so right. So that's where it's at. Rhynna, do you have a community of people who are ready to do this?
So the invitations.
I might go to the party. I don't know that I'm going to. I'll dress like I normally dress.
We'll see. I don't know. I think there's a fan deep down inside.
Or maybe in there. Yeah.
But the 501st members of the 501st costuming agency are planning to come out. Also,
Yay.
members of the Rebels are planning to come out. Possibly Saber Guild.
What a show! What a great show!
Really wonderful. And the great thing about this is that one, it's accessible for everyone, and especially for our community. We usually pay thousands of dollars to go to these conventions, and this is going to cost you a metro. Just a subway token. So it'll be really wonderful for everyone to be able to.
Rhynna's showing her age talking about subway tokens, but that's a whole.
We're talking
story.
1977.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Well, maybe we could make the fare the same as it was in 1977. It's probably 50 cents or 25 cents. Anyway, Stephanie, let's wrap us up. So you've got all these movies coming to Van Cortlandt Park. They're generally Tuesday nights through the summer. This coming week, let me just get it in front of me.
We've got Galaxy Quest.
Galaxy Quest is July 18th. July 25th is Star Wars. Guardians of the Galaxy is August 1st. And then that Bronx film by a Bronx artist on August 8th. It's called Story Avenue. What time do the movies start?
So even on the postcard, it says 8:30-ish. So it really is when the sky gets dark.
When it gets dark, because you got to be able to see the film. But I will tell you, and this will be the final word, the technology is wonderful. It's better than it used to be when you used to go to drive-ins. Yeah. The screen is clean and clear. The audio is electric perfect. And Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? Is that how we wrap it up?
May the force be with you.
May the force be. I couldn't find the phrase, but Rhynna lives that every day. Listen, Rhynna Santos, thank you for joining us. Stephanie Ehrlich, thank you for taking care of the most important park in the Bronx and in New York City, the most beautiful park in New York City. And that will do it for the Bronx Buzz this evening. We thank Leah Schneider from the Bronx Times for joining us. And if the curtain don't fall and the creek don't rise, we'll be back next week. So everybody take care. Come out to the park. Enjoy the park anyway. But, of course, for a movie night. We'll see you then.